Hey YouTubers, your buddy Platt. Today I'm going to show you how to make the simplest corn mash. So let's go. So this video is going to be the first in a three-part series where I show you three different methods of how we take corn and get the sugar out of it to convert it into something that we would use to make a corn mash. Today's method is the simplest method of all, and that's basically we're just going to use corn syrup. If you've never used corn syrup before or not sure what it is, basically they've done the work and taken corn and got it into a liquid form with all the sugar extracted. Just to kind of go over somewhat of the technical parts of this is they take corn and they add an enzyme called amylase. And that amylase breaks down the starch and gets that converted into a useful sugar. The manufacturers of this product do a series of amylase additions to break that down. But what we end up with is just basically pure liquid, almost like corn sugar. This product's not to be confused with high fructose corn syrup, which is kind of a derivative of this product, but these are two separate things, just to let you know. But for our purposes, they've done the work. They've got it into a liquid form, the sugar's there. All we really need to do is just add water. All you're going to need to make this corn mash is the corn syrup itself. Today we're doing a 5-gallon batch, and we're going to use 5 of these 16-ounce bottles of light corn syrup. There's a dark corn syrup out there, but this will do just fine. And then water, and then just some yeast. We're just going to use a regular packet of bread yeast, kind of like the Moonshiners would have back in the day. You could experiment with other yeast, but like I said, we're doing this as simple as can. So we've got everything together. Let's make the simplest corn mash. So alright, we've got our 5 bottles, 16-ounce bottles of corn syrup. I'm heating up a one gallon of water. We don't have to bring this to a boil. We just want to heat it up because we want to fully integrate the corn syrup. You've seen my other videos. Anytime you add sugar into water, you want to give it a little heat. Just makes it easier to get everything combined. As with any project we're doing, when we do fermentation, especially, we want to make sure sanitation is taken care of. I've already sanitized my fermentation bucket. I've got my airlock and everything. If you have any questions or concern about sanitation, feel free to check out my sanitation video I've done on home brewing water, but it would cover projects like this too. But we've got everything sanitized. I'm heating up some water. If for whatever reason you're concerned about sanitation with this product, whatever, or let's say you might use a jar that's already been opened or whatever, feel free to go ahead and boil this. It's not going to affect really the flavor or anything, so you can go ahead and bring the water to the boil if you wanted to, and then add the corn syrup. But I've just cracked the seals on these. I haven't been used, so they should be fine as far as sanitation. I'm just going to heat up this water. We've got it heating up now, and I'm just going to add in our jars of corn syrup. Now, if you live in the colder region and your house is kind of colder, you might want to heat this up. But this stuff pours fairly easy compared to like a maple syrup or honey or molasses. This stuff comes out fairly easy. So all I'm going to do is add these 5 containers in this gallon of water. We're going to make sure everything gets thoroughly incorporated. Then what I'm going to do is then add the rest into my fermentation bucket, add a little bit of cool water. Remember, we didn't bring this to a boil, and get the temperature down to roughly about 80 or 90. Because I'm using a bread yeast, it's not as temperature sensitive as a beer yeast. So let me get this finished, get everything in the sanitizer, and we'll come back to review the process. Okay, so to wrap up, all we really did was took 5 of these 16-ounce bottles of light corn syrup, which again, corn syrup has just had the starches from the corn convert to sugar for us already, and we just added 5 of those with a gallon of warm water to just kind of blend in the ingredients, and then we added 4 more gallons of cooler water, threw it into our 5-gallon fermenter, and then threw in a packet of regular bread yeast. I do want to give a couple little notes on the yeast. Whenever you add yeast, if we were doing a beer, a corn mash, anything that we're fermenting, you would want to give it a good stir when you add the yeast, just to oxidize the solution a little bit, get that yeast a nice start, get it thoroughly integrated into the solution. Also, this corn syrup, you might see some mash recipes where they would do a 5 pounds, for a 5-gallon batch, they might do 5 pounds of cornmeal, kind of like the first video I did. But if you're doing a regular conversion, these do not necessarily equate to exactly 1 pound of like cornmeal. There's more sugar in this than 1 regular pound. There's more than 1 pound of corn to create this. I believe the ratio I saw was something like 25 kilograms for 33 pounds of actual corn syrup or whatever. So there's a little slight difference in conversion wise. But if for whatever reason your yeast has a problem doing the lifting, there's a lot of sugar in this, you might go with a higher gravity yeast. I'm pretty sure this bread yeast will work, but if not, just know that you might want to try a high gravity yeast, or if you have a lot of corn syrup in there, switch to a high gravity yeast. I suggest you give this a good 7, maybe 10 days at the most. You're not trying to finish out a nice beer. Let's give this about a week, and it should be ready to go if you are going to distill this. Besides that, just make sure everything's sealed up, firm, your airlock's in place, and you should be ready to go. This was a real simple method, the simplest method. If you want to start making corn mash, this is, as long as you have access to corn syrup, this is the easiest way to do it. In the coming weeks, or coming videos we're going to do one where I take cornmeal or corn flake and use an enzyme to break it down. And then finally, I'll show you how to germinate corn and how that process works. I won't do a full mash with that, because just to do that much corn, to do a batch this size, is just a pain. I just want to show you the corn germinating, kind of talk through the process, and talk about a little bit about crushing the grains. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always leave them in the comment section, or you can contact me on the Twitter page. Until next time, bottoms up.